Special thanks to Fonda Santa Rosa, the only place in Houston where you find the best authentic Mexico City-style Mexican food. Welcome to another episode of Latinos Who Thrive. Our podcast is dedicated to celebrating and exploring the stories of Latinos who have achieved success and fulfillment in their lives. Our mission is to inspire and empower our listeners through the journeys and experiences of our guests, who come from a wide range of backgrounds and professions. Whether you're a young professional just starting out or someone looking for inspiration to achieve your dreams, this podcast is for you. Join us as we delve into the triumphs, challenges, and lessons learned by some of the most inspiring Latinos in the world. This week, we feature a conversation with serial entrepreneur Angel Muñoz, founder and CEO of Mass Luminosity in Dallas and the creator of Beacon, the next generation free video conferencing and communications platform that will honestly startle you with amazing visual and audio clarity. Let me tell you, I test drove it for this interview and I was thoroughly impressed. Angel has been called the Latin Steve Jobs, and for good reason. He shares his personal story from growing up in Puerto Rico, the stockbroker to gaming industry icon, and a tech visionary. Angel expects to take the world by storm with Beacon Max, the next generation in this innovative technology. He has partnered with legendary boxer and statesman Manny Pacquiao to offer Beacon Max at an affordable introductory price, and he will also donate a percentage of the proceeds to the International Manny Pacquiao Foundation. Be sure to check out Beacon Max Technologies in the show notes. And now, let's get on with it. And now we have Angel Muñoz. Angel, welcome to Latinos Who Thrive.
Victor, it's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm very excited to have you as a guest because you are a very high-profile Latino who has made it big in tech as well as in digital platforms. So, Angel, tell us about the through line of your background and how you got to where you are today.
And you want me to start from the very beginning, Victor?
Yes.
Thank you again for having me on the show. I was born in New York City from Puerto Rican parents. My parents decided to move to Puerto Rico when I was 9 years old. I moved back to the States. They still live in Puerto Rico when I was 19. So I lived in Puerto Rico for 10 years. And I, at the time, did not see the value of having the imprint of the Latino culture in my personality and in my psyche. And now, as I look back over the years, I just really do appreciate the exposure, and being able to be fluent in two languages is kind of a major advantage.
I want to drill down on this because a lot of Latinos that I've spoken with over the years, they want to anglicize their identity. And you and I know that it doesn't really work that well for you to really crush it in business and in your personal life, because you cannot whitewash your past. You got to be connected to your roots and to your foundation. So I'm curious to know, how were those formative years in Puerto Rico? And I know what an imprint experience is because that defines you for life. So what were some of those earliest experiences that you went through that created that imprint in you?
Well, when I got there as a 9-year-old kid, it was interesting because I was not accepted since I was the kid from New York City. And so I had to not only learn the language in its totality, but also find, what I found was humor. Victor kind of, dissipates all barriers. And that was kind of my approach to it, is to be the humorous guy. So I ended up being sort of the clown of the class. and and everybody, and then I gained incredible friendships that I still have today from that period of my life. And I realized then that that would be one of the weapons that I would use my entire life. I weaponized humor in the sense of being able to not only melt down barriers from me to a Latino community, but in reverse, also me as a Latino now into the sort of the more general community. And so having a sense of humor has been kind of the thing. In fact, the company now today, if we can fast forward really, really quickly, is we all have a really great sense of humor. That's the way that we sort of work and all that. And I think it comes from the top down. So I know that that doesn't sound like the magical formula that a lot of people get when they read, positive thinking books and things of that nature. But I really do believe that taking things, accepting reality as it is and always looking for the kind of the way to make it funny. So my friends tell me something, Victor, that I'm recently, understanding that when I tell a story, I am not the hero. I'm normally the victim of something that happened and all that. And it makes it funnier because it shows a bit of self deprecation, a little bit of, not such a big ego that I have to do everything correctly. The experience the imprint that it left me was not only humor, but a bit of humility in the process of, it's people have automatic prejudice, and that is not something that you can criticize it, you can do whatever you want around it, but until you accept it and deal with it, and then through humor you can even show how crazy it is to have these automatic views about, for example, a community of Latinos that is composed of so many different cultures and so many different approaches to life, that it's kind of nonsensical. So to me, it's funny. So I think that was the first step. I remember, and now I'm going to fast forward just a little bit. When I first did my first interview for a stockbroker, which you had to have a degree, and I did not, Victor. I did not graduate from college. The person that was interviewing me asked me why I wanted that job, and I asked him. I said, "Well, I'll answer if you'll answer one question." And he go and he goes, "Sure, I'll answer one question. Do you make money?" Like he was in charge of every person that's out there on the floor. And he goes, "Yeah. Okay, well, I can tell you what my goal is. You want to hear that? Yeah. I want your job." And in fact, I got it. He ended up working for me one time. So anyway, so it was, I mean, he laughed and I laughed, but it was true. That's what I wanted. I wanted his job. And so I think that being able to integrate humor into a daily process that is going to grind you, and life is tough. It comes at you fully loaded with both guns absolutely loaded to the max. And for you to develop a sense of humor about it, I think it's a great way of approaching life. And that was one of the main imprints that I got from that. Beyond the knowledge of the Spanish language, which is such a beautiful, rich language.
And one of the things that is interesting about laughter and humor is that there's actual science behind how laughter releases endorphins into our body. And I don't know if you heard the story, but Norman Cousins was given a terminal illness diagnosis, and he decided that he was going to cure himself through laughter.
No, I did not know that story. That's great.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so it's very important to have humor, to see the humor side of things as part of your arsenal, as part of your secret weapons to succeed in life. I interviewed the famous comic Felipe Esparza 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me how he a troublemaker in school, and he just happened to see the funny and everything, and so he never imagined to be a comic, but he started to talk to people, and he was mentored by Paul Rodriguez. So
Hmm.
that was the making of a comic. So you can even, if you get really good, you can make it into a profession.
Right, absolutely.
So Angel, so you became a stockbroker, and you also opened up an investment firm. Tell us what drove you to do that. Was it an opportunity? Was it being at the right place at the right time?
Either one. Actually, I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. This is now we're looking at the 80s, after the crash of the market in the 80s, the famous first Black Friday.
Yes.
And it was just everyone was basically running for the hills and upset about their portfolios being completely decimated by this incredible downturn in the market. saw that there were a few industries that were up and coming. One of them being, technology. Um, and then this is the end of the 80s, beginning of the 2000s, then the World Wide Web and things of that nature. And so I launched an investment banking firm called New World Investments. And it was about that. It was about creating, about helping finance the technologies of the future. And I really became enamored by technology, which I already had done previously and have been exposed to it through dealing with entrepreneurs, uh, you know, um, great thinkers, and all that by helping finance their ideas. And then that I started thinking, wait a second, I really could do this. And I have my own ideas. Why don't I pursue them? So it happened that the UK company was interested in buying my company at the time, and so I accepted their offer. I sold it, and I went straight into the World Wide Web business, and decided that out of all the things that I saw, the one that had the most potential, in my opinion, was video gaming. So I first launched a website called Adrenaline Vault back in, this was now 1995, and it became the number one uh, website of its type in the world. It was unquestionable that we were number one. And then as I exposed myself to that audience, I came up with the idea, Victor, of what's now known as electronic sports or esports. And it's simply the concept is very simple for your audience. It's the idea that video game competitions could be presented as a professional sport. And that became a $3 billion industry. I sold that company about 12, 15 years ago. Maybe it's been 12 years probably when we actually closed it, to an Asian company that still runs it today in Asia, and then decided to launch the company that I still work for today.
What were the factors that it became an overnight success?
Ideas are, so there are a few things that are critical for success. But the two most important ones, in my opinion, are content and knowledge. Um, so knowledge as not only as just pure knowledge, but also the intelligence to gain that knowledge. So and content meaning what is the historical, what is the present uh, conditions can lead you to a successful path. And I've been fortunate enough, Victor, and I'm not sure how I couldn't elicit in words how I do this, but I have the ability to be able to see the megatrends. And when you are aware of where things are going, then you can do something about it. So when I saw video gaming used to be smaller than Hollywood and the music industry and all that, it was a niche market at best at the time, and it was a pastime. Today, it is the largest form of entertainment in the world.
We're talking Pac-Man.
Well, in the Pac-Man days, that was very small, and now it is an incredible, huge industry. And I knew that was coming. That's the mega trend, right? That's the content. Also, is
Yes.
the internet has launched. People are playing online, competing with each other. Everything was there. It was like it's like somebody handed me a blueprint and said, and all I put together was
Yes.
sports. Let's present it as a sport. Bear in mind that I took a lot of abuse in the process. No one thought that I would do it, but it ended up being that I was right.
You've been called the Steve Jobs social media and technology.
I think they called me the Hispanic Steve Jobs, Latino Steve Jobs.
How are you the Latino Steve Jobs? What is the correlation?
That's a super high honor. I know there's a lot of Latinos in technology. I hope that they are. I don't personally know that many, but like Steve Jobs, maybe I have a discontent with the way things are, and I always want to try to improve them. I.e., the platform that we are right now, which is, as you know, Beacon. or i.e. social media, when we went into social media and try to improve that. I live with a discontent of how things are, and I always look at them in a way, how can they be improved? And I'm not scared or have no fears or concerns about failing in the process, because for me that doesn't even exist. Failure is just one outcome. And if you don't get that, like if you have an expectation, so failure is like the frustration of an expectation, right? And if it doesn't hit the mark, then what are you doing to change that so that it hits the mark? And if it's not that mark that it needs to hit, maybe you need to adjust what mark you really need to hit. So, which is interesting, because that philosophy that I just explained is the same philosophy that I applied to Maslow Monosity, the company that I am now the CEO for, and have been the CEO for the last 12 years, Victor. And the thing about it is, when I launched the company, I didn't have a business plan. I had no idea. I just knew that there were some trends that I wanted to capitalize on. One was, I felt that communication in the world would become strained between humans, and I want to and fragment it to a certain degree, and I wanted to provide technologies that could defragment. And then I also saw the advent of artificial intelligence, but it took us 10 years to figure out how to apply those technologies. And now I've been completely vindicated by Chat GPT, that everybody's talking about now, and that is exactly the first uh, tangible manifestation of what I saw 12 years ago. So, and I'm super excited because now we're on a mission. Now we know it can be done. So I'm so happy that OpenAI released that product.
Where do you see your current product evolving into?
I think that the right way of doing this is to capitalize on artificial intelligence and the integration of artificial intelligence into an environment like the one that we are. For your audience that is just listening to us, we are on my product right now. We see each other and we can interact with each other. But in the background, what your audience or you don't know is that there's an artificial intelligence that I can summon on command and have her, which we've given her a female personality, uh, a number of tasks that are normally, just not fun. and, and it could, do a number of things. And with the Chat GPT integration, since we are a licensed partner of OpenAI, we can have it answer questions. Like, for example, when we were talking about stand up and delivery because of your famous last name, you know, um, we could query the AI and it could give us more data about, the roots maybe of the last name Escalante. And so, anyway, that's where I think it's going. I think we are destined to have a symbiotic relationship with super intelligences that we refer to as artificial intelligence. I think that's what I want.
This is what the NFL does in live transmission. It's like they have reams of data available at a fingertip on anything that they want to drill down on, provide a TV guest or the host any information. Can you demonstrate this to me right now?
We have not activated it yet. We have activated portions of it, but your audience will not be able to hear it.
Okay.
You can describe it, but I can show you just a simple task, but the full nature of it, we have not deployed yet, right? In fact, Theodore and I were having a meeting, Theodore being our chief technology officer. We're having a meeting before this call about some of the functionalities we will soon release with that. But
Well, let me tell our audience what is happening live as we speak. I'm on Angel's platform, which is a streaming platform that takes streaming and live conferences to a whole nother level with all the features and tools that you have on both sides of the screen so that it's very user friendly. I don't have to close a window and go looking for a tab. It's right there in front of me that I can, as a host, I can command whatever information I need. And you have made a believer out of me.
thank you, Victor. Thank you.
And obviously, we'll have a link to your company and your products in the show notes. I am very impressed with what you've done here.
Thank you. So the AI is called Sammy, and that stands for Socially Advanced Machine Intelligence. So SAMI. And she's always ready to answer anything or to help in any way. I will ask her, so your audience knows ahead of time. I'm going to ask her to take a picture, as simple as that. Take a picture of all of us. And I can say, "Hey, Sammy,
Okay.
take a picture." And it took a picture. And then all of us, I'm going to send it to all of us so that we all have it. And now it'll download it. You click on that little thing, and you'll see the picture. I haven't seen it, so
Amazing. Very, very amazing.
very low level task that we can do all kinds of things already. But the ultimate task, the one that I wish was ready, is being able to ask her very unique questions about what we're talking about, and for her to give us, in depth answers about.
You're listening to Latinos Who Thrive with special guest Angel Muñoz. We'll be right back.
¿Estás buscando el auténtico sabor de México aquí en Houston? No busques más que Fonda Santa Rosa, el restaurante que ha estado sirviendo deliciosa comida casera mexicana por más de 10 años. Desde fajitas de carne, mole poblano, puntas de res al chipotle, puntas de res a la mexicana, plato chipaneco, chuletas de cerdo en salsa verde, y mucho más, Fonda Santa Rosa tiene algo para todos. Así que ya sea que estés buscando una comida abundante con familiares y amigos o una celebración, ven a Fonda Santa Rosa y experimenta los sabores de México aquí mismo en nuestro propio comedor. Visítanos hoy en Facebook o Instagram para ver toda la selección de platillos. Fonda Santa Rosa, donde cada comida es una fiesta.
We now return you to Latinos Who Thrive with special guest Angel Muñoz. So, Angel, this leads me to my next question. Did you reverse engineer this product as a result of seeing what was in the marketplace and finding all the flaws, or what is the genesis of this new product?
Well, yeah. I wouldn't say reverse engineer, because that would mean that we took an existing platform and changed it. We obviously were aware of Siri and all the Alexa and all the other ones that are out there, but no one had integrated them into a live communication environment. And so we not only decided to do that, but we did it. We filed patents to protect it too, because we didn't want, our big competitors, be it Microsoft or Zoom for that matter, or Google, just to go ahead and do it without them having to knock on our door first, right? Since we obviously were the first ones to do that. And we found it was a lot more difficult than we expected in the beginning. So it took us a few years to get it right. But as we've progressed over the years, Sammy has gotten more and more useful. I mean, Sammy can reschedule calls, can add people to the phone call, can actually knock a person off the phone call, can do a number of things that you would manually have to do, and could do them for you. If somebody walked into my office right now and I wanted to switch from my headset, since I'm wearing a headset, to the microphone and speakers in my office, I can just tell Sammy to do that, and it'll automatically. These are all functions that are available now, not the ones that are coming in the future. So, if I wanted to mute someone, I could just tell her to mute someone. I could things of that nature that are a little bit of low level things that you have to search around and all that through the menu to find them. She can do them automatically just by commanding her to.
I want to know something, Angel. What surprised you the most in the development of this product?
I think what surprised me was how rude most uh, most products like this are, and that there was no reason for it. So if I ask Sammy to do something and then she does it and I say thank you, she will say, "You're welcome." As simple as that. It's a very natural thing for humans. I think that's what the big companies have missed. That it's a very, when we are hardwired to have a certain way of communicating with other humans, and you cannot just simply replace that with an AI and expect us to be different. And we certainly, people treat their virtual assistants almost as slaves because they talk to them with orders. And we wanted to sort of change that. And it surprised how easy it was, is what surprised me. That part of it is to make Sammy a little more polite, a little more respectful. She waits until to see what you're going to say, and then she reacts to what you say in a very human-like form. That's what we call her, socially advanced machine intelligence. Socially uh, non-advanced is the rest of them out there, because I deal with Siri, and I have to, and first of all, Siri doesn't even get it right 90% of the time, which is annoying enough. But still, I have to give her orders. Turn on the lights or turn off the lights. And there's no conversation. And if I say thank you, it ignores me. so so that surprised me, how people also adjust to that new way much easier than having, a digital slave instead of a digital assistant or virtual assistant.
I'm going to pivot here and I'm going to, since I read the biography of Steve Jobs, and I have two of your staffers here with us, they can confirm for me some of the questions that I'm going to ask you in comparison to Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, as you mentioned previously, was a discontent because he always saw how things could be better. The downside to him was that he was very visceral. He was very emotional. He was a very passionate person. And he would often cry in some of their meetings because he had difficulty processing a lot of the emotions that ran through his mind and body in some of those meetings. And Steve Jobs was the kind of person that he would like you and praise you in the morning, and he would think that you were the worst human being in the afternoon. So, are you like that?
I am. I'm very passionate and emotional about the things that I think are important. I think the world, for example, I'm not going to pivot on you, I promise, is changed fundamentally. We can talk about that later. There's some dramatic changes that are being that are coming into being right now. And yes, I will save it for later.
I do want to say that for our later discussion because it's what we're talking about here is the race to the bottom of the reptilian brain, the race, the dynamics.
So I think the only difference between Steve and I, and maybe that was the right way, to wake up in the morning and love your staff, and then in the afternoon you hate them. I'm emotional both positive and negatively, but I do that privately. I do not embarrass any one of my employees in public.
Okay.
That is just bad form. It's really kind of embarrassing. If there is a disagreement, I always use humor. So and then later I will handle it. So I don't like embarrassing people in front of others. So I would say that's a difference. Yeah, he was vicious. He didn't care who was listening.
Steve Jobs was vicious. People were afraid to get in the elevator because you could get fired right there on the spot if he didn't like something about you. And you were given orders not to talk to him in the hallways unless he addressed you. So, again, very eccentric kind of person. But again, that's the way geniuses are. That the average person that works, and I've worked for someone akin to Steve Jobs, so I know their personality and I know their drivers and I know their faults, and more importantly, I know how they were created, how that imbalance to go the business or the technology route really created for them. It became their life purpose, irregardless of the human connection with family or with employees.
I can see that. I can see that being a driver and moving us away. I do know, Victor, that I do not have the same empathy that most people have. That I'm not so emotionally connected to people. But I really have to say that the proof of working for me is the fact that most of the employees of mine even today have worked with me through many of my companies. Some of them have 30 years working for me. So no one wants that kind of hell. so so I think I balance it. Yes, it is difficult. I am a complex, difficult person because I only expect the best from people. I don't want mediocrity. If I wanted mediocrity, I would hire a whole other type of people. I hire people who are the best, in my opinion, at what they do, even if they don't know it. And that's the people that I surround myself with.
Thank you. Another character trait of Steve Jobs was that he was a stickler. With the release of the iPad, it was like 2 or 3 weeks out from delivery. And when they showed it to him, he says, "Stop everything because I want the edges of the iPad curved because I can't pick it up from this table."
I'm the same way.
Yeah, that cost the company millions of dollars and a delay in delivery. But again, he was OCD about perfection.
I am too. I have to confess that I am too. That's a little bit embarrassing because, yeah, I am definitely OCD to an extreme. I'm not the normal person, Victor. You should not think that I am just the consequences of my environment. I can be easily replicated. I'm not the normal person. I tell you that right now. And that's not a compliment. I'm not praising myself for the process. I'm not normal. I am eccentric and I live a very unique life. I've been very successful, so I get away with it. When you're successful, you get away with it. But that doesn't mean that I advocate my style. I do tend to teach the people who work with me by saying, "Here is my prediction about what this is going to happen," and they may say, "No, it's not going to happen that way because X, Y, Z." And when it happens that way, they go, "Well, how did you know?" And I get to teach them what to be looking at. What are the real factors that actually result in whatever outcome we were looking for? And that's probably a difference between me and Steve. He never taught anybody anything. he just he just says, "This is the way, and that's it. I'm not going to explain it to you."
Full
That's right.
disclosure, it takes one to know one. Okay, so because because I'm a lot like that, and I can attest to what you're saying because your assistant, Robin, has been meticulous in making sure that this interview happened on time and covering all the dotting the i's and crossing the t's to make sure that everything went perfectly. So kudos to Robin.
Yeah, she's in charge of. So Robin is in charge of our public relations, and she's really kind of in charge of who gets exposure to me and who I get exposed to. She operates with the same mentality, but she's that way naturally. I didn't bring her out. I noticed it right away. When I met her the first time, I met her. She was working at a different company at the time, and when I met her, because of the questions she asked and how inquisitive she was, and how she did not want to kiss my behind, to use a kind of a better word, I knew that she really needed to understand. And when people understand something, then they can, because what she does is a form of sales. She has to make me attractive to other people.
Correct.
I have very little interaction with her. She just tells me, "Okay, here's who you're going to talk to. This is what." I never question it. I don't process it. So I know that she's already done everything she needs to do. Another person is on the call that's quiet is Theodore Atroshenko. He's a chief technology officer. He's the person that's like, if there was such a thing of being under your thumb, it'd be him, because we are a technology company. And I hired him when he was in high school, Victor.
Yes.
He's now doing his doctorate in artificial intelligence. So he's been working for us for quite a long time. And in the process of doing that and working, it formed him. It just formed him. He's just now. I remember early on when he asked me why I hired him, and I said, "Because you're lazy." He was like, "Wait, what?" He goes, "Yeah, I am, but why will you hire me?" If he goes, because you'll always find the fastest, easiest way to do things, and we're a small company. We need that. We need people who think on their feet and solve problems. So
Yes.
although it's not always a positive experience for him to be under my scrutiny all the time, but it has been rewarding, I think, for him and for me. And we really take care of our employees anywhere we can. So if we've had an offer last year, I should tell your audience a little bit of a pivot. We had an offer for Beacon before launching the paid version, which comes out next month, for 80 million to begin with, and then they upped the offer later to 100 million, and we turned it down. We didn't turn it down because we're greedy. We just turned it down because we were so invested already in the product emotionally and all that. We wanted to see it through, and it's kind of a nerve wracking process because you don't you don't know how people are going to react. You don't know that Victor Escalante is gonna go on the show and witness it and go, this is the best thing I've seen. That is up to you. That is out of my control. And that is the problem when you do beautiful things. You're kind of like an artist and not just a business person. You create something that has a magic to it, but it's up to the people who use it to sort of discover it and to say, wait, this is a lot better than anything that's out there. And that process I cannot control.
I want to go back to the point that you made earlier of how your products were going to be different than some of the toxic, dark stuff that is out on social media. Talk to us about that.
When I launched Mass Luminosity, my core competency have been for the last years in gaming. And video gaming, online communication for video gamers is the most toxic environment ever. It's like the swamps of the internet. And I just felt that there should be, something else. We certainly thought about it and talked about the differences that we could make, but we decided to do it. We launched Gaming Tribe, which now is known just as G Tribe for your audience that wants to look it up. And it is composed of people from every nation, from every country in the world. It's small. It's not large. It's not, it doesn't have billions of people in it, but it's not tiny that it only has, 600 people on it. There's 6 million people on G Tribe. Out of those, some are active, some are not. Some like reading mostly stuff, and some like participating. So there's that normal mixture, but it's positive. There's no profanity. We don't allow profanity on it. You can speak in profanity. We don't do anything about that, but we change the words because we have every profane word in our database, and it changes it with an emoji. So you can say XYZ profanity, and it changes it into something that is laughable, right? That is kind of cute, and there's no advertising. So we wanted sort of a refuge, a place where people can relax and be themselves. And frankly, it's been the most magical experience. We got offered last year $120 million for G Tribe. Certainly we were not going to sell it because we know if somebody buys it, what they're going to do with it. And then people have trusted us with a lot of personal information. People who are gay have come out gay, people that are transsexuals, everything, and no one cares. Ultimately, I proved my point. Humans really would prefer to have positive experience with other humans. But if the trend is that we're going to make fun of each other, that we're going to insult each other, that we're going to emphasize all the differences between you and I, Victor, for example, then that's what you get. That's, Twitter that now Elon Musk and his genius move owns, which I think is the most ridiculous decision he's ever made, or Facebook, or any of this. You go there, and there's just this constant argument and this constant, disagreement. You don't really see that on G Tribe. It's people building upon other people's ideas
Yeah.
and interacting in a positive way. The miracle is that we just told them that's the way to do it. That's what we're going to do here. And as people resisted that process, most people were so tired by the negativity, the diatribe, the toxicity, like you said, and all that they basically decided, okay, let's ignore this person because they're not going with the spirit of what we have. So it self-policed itself to the degree that can't remember the last time we had to even bring somebody's attention to something negative on G Tribe. So people just are accustomed
Yeah.
to a positive way, caring about each other. So I'll give you one example, Victor, and then we'll end this. But I yesterday I posted a picture of me in my car. I drive. Well, I don't drive it. That's the point of my conversation. I have a Tesla. I'm in the beta program for the autopilot, and of course, it has so much negative, press, and every accident is maximized. And I posted a picture of me in my car and saying, "Hey, basically, my car is taking me home right now." And everyone who posted goes, "Please be safe." Like they were not even. Here's a technology-minded people who are more concerned about my safety because I'm allowing my car to take me home than anything else. It's the kind of humanity that I think we miss in the world, and that's why I call the company Mass Luminosity, light for the masses, keeping them in the dark, and then just taking advantage of them.
Angel, talk to us about your leadership style for your company and what aspiring entrepreneurs or company executives should consider to get ahead, to thrive in today's marketplace.
I don't really have any magic formulas. I would say the first thing, what works for me, Victor, I can only speak what works for me. Don't ever do anything because you can make money at it. Quincy Jones used to say that when he met an artist that walked into the studio with, in his mind, he had money, God would leave the place. And I always thought that to be so true. The moment you start thinking about money and how you're gonna, and all that, it's a necessary, that's the reason you start a business, but don't make it just the only reason. Be passionate about
Yes.
what transformations you can impact on the world. Can you move the needle in the right direction for a little bit? Then the rewards come after. That's what we've gotten, those offers that I told you earlier. And that's $200 million worth of offers last year because people that in the industry realize these people definitely move the needle, and we're just getting started. So we're about to even take that 2 and 3 notches up. So, and I know that we're running out of time. I just wanted to say to your audience, you need to also be aware of the trends. And the biggest trend going on right now is artificial intelligence, who has radically changed our society. You are not seeing the consequences of it yet, but this is bigger than when the World Wide Web got started. This is, in fact, I predict that there will be no World Wide Web after AI because AI is going to give you everything you need. You don't have to go through pages. You don't have to look at sites. You don't have to go to news sites. That's all gone. It's going to vanish. And every conversation that we're going to have with humans is going to be like this one, Victor. So if this can be enhanced with artificial intelligence and we can gain more information about each other as we're talking, that only enhances the experience. That's the near future. And that idea will make in the next 5 years, will be the first trillionaires on the planet will come from that, what I just said. That's how certain I am.
There you have it, friends. Angel Muñoz and his wisdom that you can take to the bank. Buy AI. Get into AI. Not like the 70s, buy plastic. Well, thank you so much, Angel. We look forward to your continued success, and you have to come back. Keep us abreast of all your successes.
Thank you, Victor. And thank you for having me on the show. And for all your listeners, thank you for listening. And I hope you found something interesting.